This is the all-new 2021 Kia K5 GT. Welcome everyone. I'm so excited to show you guys this all-new K5 GT. This is Kia's newest offering to compete with the Camry, the Accord, the Mazda 6, and the like, which is really competitive. Even though it's kind of falling off in terms of sales numbers, I still really like this GT. And this has the GT1 package, so it is totally loaded out. And we're gonna take a full look at everything on the outside, the inside, and take it for a test drive. And let's find out if this is a real competitor or maybe even a baby budget stinger. Let's get started. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. My name is Nolan. I do these kind of reviews every single week on all sorts of different vehicles. And after you've watched this video, if you've enjoyed it, be sure to go down there and smash the like button. It really helps me out and it's just one way to support me. And if you like what you see and you want to see more, be sure to subscribe and click the bell down below. But let's get into it. Welcome everyone. Let's take a look at all the exterior details on this GT. So most of the time I talk about different trim levels, but this will be pretty much focused just on this GT model here. This is the top end trim level and we have the GT1 package. But right away, look up front. This is the modernized version of Kia's Tiger Face grille. You can see it is wide and thin. It's so wide that it even goes into the headlight. And you got LED fog lights, LED daytime running lights, and full LED headlights just overall. And the GT1 package actually gives us special projector lights, and that amber light is unique. You don't see amber daytime running lights very often, you know, just like the newish Kia Telluride, you've got those, but LED everything up front. And as you can see, that daytime running light is the blinker over there, and otherwise it just looks slick. What do you guys think of the amber daytime running light? I'd love to hear your feedback. But if you want to see more of this at night with a full night drive of this K5, be sure to look in the description below to check that out. Now this paint color on this K5 is called Sapphire Blue. It's a unique paint. You don't always get bright, vibrant paints like this on cars nowadays, but I like it. And I feel like it fits this K5 well, especially paired with the black accents and just the overall design here. The K5 sits on 19-inch wheels. These actually have some gloss black in them with a machined finish. What do you think of that? Those are kind of unique too. And another unique feature is that you actually have a GT brake caliper there. And these are actually larger brakes as opposed to the non-GT models. Now the mirror caps are going to be gloss black. You've also got a turn signal in there. There's also a blind spot indicator in there, and they are heated, but they're not power folding or automatic dimming. And as you can see, you've got this chrome piece that runs from the front by the mirror all the way over into the back, and it actually connects with the other side. That kind of reminds me of the Stinger in a way, just this fastback looking design coming out the back. It doesn't really have much of a trunk. I mean, it does, but this is definitely like a fastback hatchback look back here. And dimensionally, this K5 is 193 inches long, so it's right around typical for this mid-size class, and it sits on a brand new N3 platform to make the car low, long, and wide with its fastback silhouette. And more on the rear of the car. First of all, you've got a little deck lid spoiler, that little gloss back black spoiler here, and then you've got this LED dotted dashed light bar running across. It's an incandescent turn signal. These are just combination LED taillights, but you've got the GT K5 badge. That GT looks just like the GT badge on the Stinger too. And kind of a unique looking diffuser, but you get a quad tipped exhaust down here, so that's nice to see. And you might notice you've actually got these fake little vents right back here too, just for a little style. Now one thing that people like about crossovers is the space, the hands-free access, just like this one. If you stand close enough with your key fob, this has the smart trunk to where it will automatically open up, just like this. Now this trunk of course isn't going to be as big as a mid-size crossover, but just throwing a carry-on size bag, a backpack right there, bigger than normal backpack, it swallows it up really well. This has 16 cubic feet, which is a good number, and you can fit quite a bit of stuff back here. It's actually pretty tall, pretty deep, and wide as well. You can fold the rear seats down, as you can see with the pull tab. You got a 40-60 split with the pull tabs. The only thing is that the hinges are exposed, so just keep that in mind when you go to close your trunk. And I absolutely love this because spare tires are becoming more and more rare, but this comes standard with a spare tire. Now the K5 also gives us a smart key system. This is just like the newer Kia key fobs, even just like the Stinger key fob. All your buttons on the side, and then you've got remote start right there. So let's actually go ahead and remote start. Push and hold. Starts right up. And it does not turn off when you open the door like some cars. But the way this works, there's no sensor in the back. It's all controlled with this button. So you push that to unlock it, close the door, push it to lock it, and the mirrors will flash. The smart key is only on the front door and not on the back doors. Now it's time to look at the front seats. Now this is where the magic happens in this car, and these are the GT specific sport bucket seats. I like the GT emblem in there. You've got bigger bolsters on here on the sides and bigger bolsters down at your thigh. These come standard heated and standard with 10-way power adjustments that you see here with 2-way lumbar support. But you can see the ventilation in here, or the perforation. These are also ventilated as part of our GT1 package. They're pretty soft too. I mean, I don't mind at all that it's a synthetic leather and not a real leather, because they are still fairly comfortable. And part of that GT1 package is the fact that we get 2-position memory settings. Now space overall in the K5, I keep wanting to call this the Stinger or the Optima, but the space in this K5 GT is good. I mean, I have plenty of room at 5'9" above my head. I have the seat a little higher than I normally do too, so there's still plenty of room in here. My only complaint is that the headrest is just a little bit far forward, so that's my only complaint. I wish it was a little further back, or at least adjustable, but otherwise I like the rest of the seats. Now getting into the front seats isn't all that bad, and we've got the memory settings. We've got the entry exit system for our seats. The steering wheel is manual tilt and telescoping, and it's got a good range of motion. I've been able to get it exactly where I want. Now let's take a look at the back seat. So first of all, as I kind of expected, they cheaped out with the material on the upper door right there, but you still got a nice soft armrest that mirrors the front armrest. And these are the same synthetic leather seats, not real leather, but just fake leather. They've got the perforations in them, which in a back seat that doesn't have ventilated seats, the perforations with children just means crumbs and gunk and food getting stuck in there, but that is what it is. And then sitting behind myself at 5'9", the space is fine, but it's not quite as good as some competitors or some crossovers. But as you can see, I still have really good knee space. You've got a hard seat back. You've got seat back pockets on each side. And we've got air conditioning vents, always good to see. Plus there are 2 USB charging ports down there. There's a little bit of a hump in the middle, so keep that in mind if you have middle passengers. And then in the middle, you'll find a soft folding armrest with bottle holders. And it's good to see that I can sit up tall at 5'9" and my head is not touching, even with my hat on, so that's fantastic. My only complaint is that in many of the cars in this class, you can now get heated rear seats, but there's no heated rear seats on this K5 GT. And just as a little bonus, you get this panoramic roof that comes back pretty far for your rear passengers. Now that we've made it inside, let's go ahead and start it up. Foot on the brake, push button start, and there you go. You've got a big screen there, and let's go ahead and take a look at everything else. So real quick, starting over on the door, you get nice material pretty much throughout the whole door. I like this door handle too. This is actually feels pretty nice. Soft, nice material here with the stitching, so you've got some detail. A big grab handle and armrest, so this is comfortable to put your arm on. It's even got a slot right here if you want to stick your keys or your phone or something in there too. And then we've got this shiny glass black right here, which I'm not a huge fan of, the gloss black, but I like the trim pieces elsewhere. Look up here, kind of a nice trim piece up here as well. You'll see that dash pad bezel runs all the way across over there and ties in with the other door as well. So Kia definitely put some detail into this new K5. Even though this is the top trim, only the front 2 windows are automatic one touch. And I already shoved my bottle in there because it's a tight fit. This is definitely not big bottle friendly, but it should accommodate most people's drinks. Now right to the inside, you've got interior brightness controls, your lane keeping system, which I'll show you that later, traction control, and you can open up your trunk with that. Now our steering wheel is the flat bottom D-shaped steering wheel, GT specific with the GT badge, and leather wrapped. It's got some nice bulky grips on it. It feels nice, it's not too gummy. And with our GT1 package, it's also heated, and the entire steering wheel is heated. But taking a look at controls, you've got controls on the left, mainly voice and audio controls. And then on the right, you've got cruise control and your Kia DriveWise, and I'll show you guys some more of that a little bit later, and you can control your information display. In case you were wondering, you will not find rain sensing wipers on here. These are just your normal wipers. So right in front of us, this is the standard screen, a 4.2-inch screen. And this looks, you know, this is kind of surprising, especially considering Kia and Hyundai's new screens, like the Hyundai Sonata, has a big fully digital display. But I still like that you have some big gauges here, so those are easy to read. And there's still a fair amount of information. I mean, you can see everything necessary, it's just nothing fancy. So you can scroll through and see vehicle information, you can customize your trip computer and reset all that, compass, and then you've got your, you can have a driver attention level if you want. You can see your driver assist features, like how the lane keeping system and adaptive cruise is working, or just a digital speedometer if you want. You might also have noticed there are some little paddle shifters back here, and they don't feel super cheap plasticky like most cars do. And then this ties in with the display for our main display, and this is the optional 10.25-inch display. So you'll pay extra to get this if you want, and there is one caveat if you want this display. The caveat is that an 8-inch display is standard, and that 8-inch display now comes with wireless Apple CarPlay. Wireless Apple CarPlay is actually really nice because you don't have to plug your phone in every time, and you can actually use the wireless charging pad. But this 10.25-inch screen does not have wireless. It's got CarPlay and Android Auto, but it's got to be wired. That might be a big deal to you, it might be just a minor deal, but over here you've got an actual volume knob and power knob, and this is all touchscreen. So all touchscreen over here, that star is actually a customizable button. You can have that be whatever you want, and then I have it set up to go straight to my Apple CarPlay, and you can have Apple CarPlay on the entire screen, or you can elect to have it be a split screen. And I completely missed that and messed that up on one of my recent Hyundai videos, but I like that you can have Apple CarPlay on this whole screen. You've got more shortcuts over here that are touch sensitive, and if you go to setup, there's a lot of different things that you can customize on here, which is nice to see. And I go into a little bit more detail on some stuff in my night video on what you can do on the screen. But this also comes with Sirius XM, and I've got one little complaint here. It's that this whole display, like the numbers, the channel number takes up most of the freaking screen. I mean, the font and the writing over here is actually really small. The font and writing and all the buttons are really small. It's just not the best use of space for this interface. I get it, it's kind of simplified, but it's just kind of weird in my opinion. I wish they would kind of redo that, because I don't really care to see a big giant thing of the channel number, but small complaint with that. And we have the Bose center point system. You start standard with a 6-speaker system, but we have the 12-speaker optional Bose sound system. And I just recently started a second channel where I'm doing complete point of view test drives, and I'm doing audio tests in there. So here's a clip from that. Be sure to plug your headphones in and subscribe to that channel. And when we shift into reverse, we've got just your normal backup camera with dynamic lines. There's no 360 camera on this GT. And if we come down, you've got a little bit more detail and trim in this air conditioning vent, which is completely unneeded, but just some more detail. Dual zone climate control is standard here on the GT, and I like how you have easy to use and access buttons there. Down here, you've got 2 USB charging ports, regular USB, no USB-C, a 12-volt power outlet, and then this little mat right here is actually a rubber liner, so stuff doesn't slide around. That's nice. So little storage cubby right there, and this shifter is actually like an aircraft style shifter is what they say. Aircraft shift knob. So that's kind of cool. I mean, it's just unique, looks cool. The bottle holders are good size. I'm always happy when my bottle fits in there. I've had no trouble with larger drinks or smaller drinks. They even have little accommodation rings inside of them. And then as you see right here, electronic parking brake and the automatic brake hold button to hold the brake for you in certain situations. And then back here, this is where your drive mode is, but let's look at the ventilated and heated seats. These are 3-tier heated and ventilated seats and the heated steering wheel button. Same for your passenger. And then let me show you the drive modes. Now, drive modes will be in normal, sport, sport plus, which turns off the traction control, and then you can even customize your own mode. So that's all useful with the dial. And then check this out. There's a wireless charging pad right here, and you might think it's not very wide, but your phone actually pushes down just like that, and it will start charging. I don't have wireless charging, so it doesn't work on my phone, but that is nice. You've got a good size armrest for this class. It doesn't move forward and backwards or anything, but it is long enough to where you can rest your arm here and put it on the steering wheel if you want to. Lift that up. You've got another charging port in there, and it's decent size, not too bad. Kia gives you a glove box, but it is not a locking glove box, and it also does not have a light in it. Another little area that they cut costs was with this rearview mirror. No automatic dimming rearview mirror comes standard on the GT. It's just your regular manual flipping mirror. So that's a little bit of a surprise. But you've got LED interior lighting up above. So LED here and in the back seat. You got touch sensitive lights, or you can just press that button there. And it's always good to see that the visors can completely slide out. And then one more thing, right up above, we've got the panoramic roof, which is standard on the GT. This first part opens up, and then you got a little bit of small glass right there, and you got a nice little cover to slide over it automatically. And let's take a look at visibility. So it's got a different design coming out the back. It's definitely, you know, a big pillar right there, so it's kind of closed off. And one thing, it might just be me, but I feel like the windshield height is kind of small. I mean, it just doesn't seem like there's as much visibility in here as some cars, but it could just be me. Now, look under the hood of this K5 GT. Does this have as much power as this thing? No. Does it have as much power as everything else in this class? Yes. So under the hood, you will find on this GT standard the 2.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine that gives you a healthy 290 horsepower and 311 pound-feet of torque, paired with an 8-speed dual clutch wet transmission. And I've absolutely got to make this point. This turbocharged engine is direct and port injected. That is becoming harder and harder to find, and something that would seriously sway me wanting to go for this engine over the regular direct injected smaller turbo engine. 0 to 60 is 5.8 seconds, but there's just one bummer. Kia now gives this K5 all-wheel drive, but not the GT. The all-wheel drive is only with the 1.6 liter turbo, which you cannot get right here. And with this kind of power, miles per gallon is going to be 24 city, 32 highway, and 27 combined. Plus, one thing to factor in is that Kia gives you its 10-year, 100,000 mile powertrain warranty. All right, y'all, let's get to driving in this Kia K5 GT. So there's a lot to like about it, about the way it drives too, especially the power out of this engine. So first off, I'm just gonna kind of give you my first impressions, and then we'll put the camera on my head and you'll get a point of view. But first impression of the K5, you know, the first time I've driven a K5, I've never even driven the Optima. So this is complete first impressions, and I like it. It's mostly smooth. This does have a sport tuned suspension, so it probably is a little bit stiffer than the rest of the K5s, and it feels a little bit stiffer, but it's still compliant. It feels good. But the biggest thing is the power. The torque. I mean, that was just partial throttle. You got front wheel drive. I really wish we had all wheel drive in here, but I mean, the torque on this thing is nutty for a mid-size sedan. It's like the Mazda 6, but this honestly kind of feels like it maybe has more torque, but the Mazda 6 has like right around 310 pound-feet of torque too. So, I mean, dang, the torque is just so important with the driving experience, and that's the biggest draw to these turbos. But let's go ahead and strap it on and go for a drive. All right, we are now behind the wheel of this K5, and I've just started doing point of view test drives with binaural audio on a second channel where I'm not talking. So if you don't want to hear me talk and you just want to see the drive, check the link in the description below. But I'm doing it like this so you can get a good sense of what it's like for you to drive the car. And like, you just got my first impressions back there. It feels fairly smooth and a little bit stiff. The ride is a little stiff, but I mean, the torque that comes out of this GT, and I'm talking more about torque and power because that's why most people are going to get this GT, because this one has the power and the fun. A quick note on ergonomics. Daily driving this, I like the layout of where pretty much everything is. I've just, like I said, kind of the small spots on the screen are a little bit of a distraction, but otherwise, I mean, it's comfortable for the most part, and I've really got no complaints. Good storage cubbies, good spot for your phone and bottle and all of that. We're good to go. Well, let's go ahead and put it in Sport Plus. Sport Plus disables traction control, and here we go. Jeez, I had to let off a little bit right there. Alright, I'm not going to drive like that the whole time. I just wanted you to get an idea. And now I shifted it into sport mode. Traction control turns back on. It's holding the RPMs. You've got a little bit of sound. It's just so torquey. It handles well. It's not great, but for this class it's right on par and does very nice. I mean, the Sport Tune suspension should be helpful with that as opposed to the non-Sport Tune models. And the torque is real in this car. I mean, you don't have to really put the pedal down all that much to get some torque. It's pretty nuts. And you might be able to hear there is some wind noise, but I'll talk about that in a little bit. The car does feel a little bit, feels a little bit uneasy going, you know, at good clips around, but the torque is the biggest thing here. So I'm just gonna put it back in normal mode, and this has bigger brakes. So I've gotten on the brakes a couple times, and these brakes have done a nice job. They've got a little bit bigger brakes than the non-GT models, which is great because this has that much more power and speed. So you would expect those types of things. And I just put it in manual mode. We'll test out the paddle shifters a little. And they're actually fairly responsive. You know, I would expect them to be for the most part. I'm going to shift back out. I use those a little bit more in my other drive, but if you want to use the paddles, you can, and you can have some fun with it. I think one of the best things about driving the K5 is the torque that comes out of it, as well as the Kia drive-wise. So I have a demonstration of that, and even in my other test drive, I do a little bit of hands-off driving. Not that you should, but you kind of can a little bit, and the Smart Cruise does so good. The lane keeping system and lane centering does a very nice job in here too. You might be able to hear a little bit of road noise right now. At interstate speeds, I will tell you there is some wind noise that comes from these pillars, so keep that in mind. This is not laminated glass. This is just your regular single pane glass. The windshield is laminated. It's acoustic to help with wind noise, but road noise and wind noise is not as good as you might hope. It's not as good as, like, for example, the Kia Telluride, the big SUV, but it is quieter than most, you know, economy level cars. So in the middle range, but don't expect a super quiet ride out of here, but it's not bad either. And just kind of a quick recap and summary, the ride comfort is a little on the stiff side, but totally worth it because of the way this drives that you get with the GT torque. I mean, that was just partial throttle. This car's ready to go. And you don't get a naturally aspirated engine option, which I'm a little bummed about, but this turbo is still nice, direct and port injected. daily driving, ergonomics, all of that is good. There's really a lot to like about it. It's not perfect. There are some areas where they cut costs a little bit, you know, the back seat door material, no automatic dimming mirror right here, a couple little things like that. But otherwise, if you like the Stinger, don't want to spend that much, this might be an option for you. If you like a mid-size sedan, kind of the fastback style, and you want some fun with your car and some style and attitude, maybe this is for you. But let's go ahead and wrap it up on this GT. So to wrap things up on this 2021 all-new K5 GT, it replaces the Optima, but it's similar to the Optima, but different. I mean, this car definitely has some attitude. It's got some style, it's got some aggressiveness, it's got decent space inside. I mean, the trunk space is really good, the front seats are comfortable for the most part, and you've still got a lot of interior features and some really nice power under the hood. So this is a serious contender in this mid-size class, and because of its kind of style, its behavior, the power that you can get, you might even consider this a budget four-door Stinger, because it's just like the Stinger in so many ways. Obviously not as powerful, but you got the same DNA, you've got the turbo, you've got the speed, and there's a lot that I like about it. It's a little bit small in the back seat, but I mean, you can't really complain that much with the mid-size sedan. Is this something you guys would consider over a Camry or an Accord? I mean, those are hard to beat. The Mazda 6, the Nissan Altima, there's a lot of competition in there, but leave your thoughts down below. Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to smash that like button if you liked the video, and have a great day.